Hey everyone, welcome back to the movie studio. Today, me and my mom are here, and we are going to be talking all about Sweet Magnolias, all 10 episodes. So, yeah, it's going to be pretty fun. So we're kind of going to go through episode by episode. Pretty much first we want to talk about how we got into the series. Want to tell them how we got into the series?
Well, my sister Iris watched it and she told me a while back, hey, you should check this out. I think you would really like it. So I finally did, and I watched the first episode, and then I mentioned it to Mike. I said, hey, Mike, I think you might want to watch this with me. So he decided to, and that's all it took. We were hooked.
Yeah, it was a fun show. So pretty much we're going to go ahead and there is some things, like if you don't want to hear spoilers, then only listen to this part of the video. Some things you might want to know is that it reminds me a lot of Fuller House in a way. It's definitely like, I don't know, it's a town show, and I think that's a lot of fun. So pretty much we're gonna go ahead and get started with episode 1. So this episode we meet Maddie, and she's dealing with her separation from Bill. So what did you think of this whole like storyline, separation, all this stuff?
Well, it was a struggle to me because I feel like marriages should, you should do your best to work them out, but Bill didn't make this an easy one for her. So I understand why she had to divorce him.
Yeah. Yeah, but, I mean, yeah, Bill was, like, definitely, no one really liked him, so. Yeah. But, yeah, that's kind of like their storyline for the first episode. We get to find out that he's engaged to his mistress, a nurse, Noreen. What do you think of that?
Yeah, so he's I guess a pediatrician, a doctor, and he meets her at work, and they begin a relationship while he's still married. So not cool.
Not cool at all. So that's kind of that whole storyline. The next storyline is all about Dana Sue, and she fires her lead cook due to drinking. So this was kind of like the first episode. But what do you think of Dana Sue in her kitchen?
Oh, I think that's really cool. I love anything to do with food and cooking, so that part really intrigued me. So
yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I think that I like the whole kitchen thing and dealing with that, and yeah, I thought that was fun. So then Helen purchases a spa, and this is a storyline that kind of lasts all season. So what did you think of the spa?
Oh, I think it's great. So kind of the idea is these three people, Maddie, Dana Sue, and Helen, are friends from school, and they continued their friendship through adult life, and so they decided to go in together and buy this spa.
Yeah, it was fun. I liked that. So then there was just this little subplot. So Dana Sue's daughter Annie creates an Instagram account of Serenity, and she thinks the town is rogue. So she pretty much, do you remember this at all?
Mm-hmm.
So she posts pictures of like rodents on it, I think. Something along with that. What do you think of that little subplot?
Well, I think Annie's just trying to express herself. She's really into photography, and that's just the way she was feeling right now. So
yeah. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of episode 1. I think it was a pretty good pilot. Episode 2. So pretty much Maddie and Bill heads over Tyler's game. So pretty much, and I think that Maddie's pretty encouraging to Tyler during his baseball games, but then Bill shows up with Noreen, and she's pretty obnoxious, so that distracts Tyler. And then we get to know a little more about Coach Cal. So what do you think of that thing?
So Tyler is Maddie and Bill's oldest son, and he's hugely into baseball, and they're very supportive of it. So they try to be able to both be at the games together, and it's just not working out because Tyler's getting really distracted. So yeah.
Yeah. We also get to see Helen, and she's a lawyer. She's involved in that, and she tries to connect 2 girls to their extended family after their parents get into an accident. And I like this. I like this storyline. Did you like it?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was cool. And then pretty much, this is small, but I like this because it kind of involved High School Musical. So pretty much, Tyler's younger brother Kyle, he pretty much is messing around with a girl who's interested in Tyler and says that he likes High School Musical and takes ballet classes. So then that girl dresses up as Sharpay at the baseball game and pretty much embarrasses herself. What do you think of that?
Yeah, that was funny. That was called the younger brother who gets less attention, and he decides to play a little joke.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's just not as... And I don't know, they focus on Tyler more. He's more like a... And I think that... I mean, we'll talk about that later, but then when he runs away at the end, I think that he's just upset that he doesn't really get attention.
Yeah.
So that's episode 2, pretty good episode. Episode 3, this is when Maddie and Coach Cal start flirting. So what do you think of their relationship?
Oh, well, you could tell right away that they definitely have the hots for each other. And so you just see some fun flirtations at the beginning.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. And also, we have town gossip in this town. Mary Vaughn, and I think that in every town you had to have town gossip. In Winkle's the Heart, this is similar. Florence and Molly are the town gossip, and Rosemary a little bit, but definitely more Florence and Molly. So that's funny. So Dana Sue gets an unwelcome visit from Brad, the guy who she fired, who plans to sue the kitchen. What do you think of that?
Yeah. So he.
Not too happy.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah. He's trouble.
Yeah, and then Kyle and Noreen connect, and they seem to have a pretty close relationship throughout the series. I mean, she took interest in his play, where his parents did not. So she was more of a mother to him. So what do you think of their relationship?
Well, I think it was good. Noreen was trying to be what the stepmom would be and connect with Kyle, and she saw he had a need, and I liked that she didn't know anything about the play, but she took the time to really understand it so she could understand him. That was cool.
Yeah, that was fun. So that was episode 3, pretty good episode. Episode 4, pretty much, Kyle tells Maddie he wants to be more than friends. So that is kind of where, the whole relationship thing, because first they decide just to be friends, and then he decides that he wants to be more than friends, so I like that. So then Dana Sue collapses and suffers a health scare. Yeah. So what do you think of that?
Yeah, that was pretty scary. It made her have to kind of think twice about how she's taking care of herself and how important it is to look out for yourself and take care of yourself, because nobody knows your body as well as you do. So yeah, you got to take care of yourself.
Yeah. And then we get to see, for Helen, so an old boyfriend comes back, and I think he's I don't know, he's somehow related to the Sweet Magnolias some way. I don't know, it's they're, someone related to the Sweet Magnolias' son. I really don't remember.
Yeah, I think it was the spa was used to be a home, and it was in his family, so he had childhood memories.
So what did you think of Helen and Ryan together?
Well, you could tell that, they had a long-term relationship, and they kind of had been off and on in their relationship, but you could tell they definitely had strong feelings for each other.
Yeah, I think that I like them together. So that was episode 4. Episode 5, this is the big spa opening. So the spa opening, and there's a baseball fundraiser. So what do you think of these two events?
Yeah, so unfortunately there's 2 events going on the exact same time, exact same, night and everything. So they're kind of competing with each other. You've got the spa opening, and then you've got the baseball fundraiser. So Maddie's kind of torn between being at the spa where she works and owns, and being with her son at the baseball fundraiser.
Yeah, and it was actually Mary Vaughn's fault for this whole thing. So
yeah, she was jealous. So
meanwhile, so this storyline lasts at least a couple of episodes. So Annie gets drunk at a party, kisses Tyler, and leaves him a message. So this was pretty intense. So what did you think of that?
So Annie has been secretly pining away for Tyler, and once she drank, which she shouldn't be doing because she's underage, but once she did, then her feelings kind of started bubbling out, and Tyler found out real quick that Annie has feelings Yeah.
And that's like next episode is a lot of that too. But and then Maddie and Cal kiss for the first time. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So episode 6, this is pretty much so Maddie and Cal are officially together, and pretty much he asks her out on a first date. So what do you think of that?
Oh, I'm excited for her. You know, it's been quite a while since the divorce, and she's, you know, finally feeling like maybe I am ready to move on, even though she still feels a little unsure of herself.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Yeah. Besides that, so they're together. We get to see Annie and Tyler, and pretty much the aftermath of what happened. Pretty much this he's been avoiding her, and then this kid sends the message to the whole school, and then pretty much they're not on good terms by the end of the episode. So what do you think of that whole thing?
Yeah. So then everyone in the whole school hears the message that Annie had sent about how much she loved the kiss and all the mushy stuff, and unfortunately this causes Tyler, even though it kind of appears he has feelings for her, don't you think?
Yeah.
But it kind of pushes him with the girl that has the crush on Tyler that he really doesn't like, but he just wants everyone to know he doesn't have feelings for Annie, even though he does.
Yeah, and then this episode, yeah, he turned his attention towards that girl, and then that kind of connects into mock trial, which I liked. Helen's running it. So what do you think of the whole mock trial thing?
It was fun. So the kids actually got to do a real kind of trial and serve in different roles, and they actually got to go and with a judge, and it got to be determined who was innocent and who was guilty. So that was really cool. The kids really got to test their skills at doing that. So
yeah, and the girl who has a crush on Tyler did a good job, and I think that's when Helen started, because we get to see that like Annie is upset that Helen was turning her attention over to that one girl, but we'll get to that a little bit later. But I like that episode. Episode 7, this is a baseball-focused episode, pretty much. Mary Vaughn tries to get her son to lead the baseball game, but but she thinks that they're going with Tyler because Maddie and Cal are dating. But pretty much, besides that, Maddie and Tyler decides to let Jackson play. He fakes an injury. So what did you think of that?
Well, I thought that spoke volumes for Tyler's character, that he was willing, even though he knew he could do it and he was the better player, he saw Jackson's interaction with his mom and realized that Jackson's got a lot of pressure on him to perform, and he wanted to give him that chance. So that was pretty big of Tyler.
Yeah. And besides that, we get to see Bill buys Tyler a car. So
Without talking to his ex-wife. Not smart.
Oh, and also in this episode, Maddie and Bill signed the divorce papers. Okay. So that's final. In the previous episode, I forgot to mention this. Bill and Noreen asked the kids to be in their wedding, and that didn't go over too well. So this is when Bill starts to make really bad decisions that affect pretty much everyone.
He continues to make bad decisions, for sure.
And then besides that, we get to see Helen is fighting for that girl who likes Tyler, the whole mock trial thing, which I think it's good. And we get to see Dana Sue. She finds out that Annie got drunk at that party, and she grounds her and takes her phone away. So what do you think of her finding out on that whole thing?
Well, I think Dana Sue did what any caring parent would do, and looking out for her best interest, and tried to talk to her, love her, but create some boundaries and some consequences. So
yeah. Episode 8 is the next one, and this is a pretty big one. Pretty much episode 8. Pretty much Maddie and Bill are at odds. He continues to make bad decisions. He goes into her garage and starts taking things. Starts going through things. And then pretty much they're at odds. So what do you think of that?
Yeah, so I guess he still had a key to the house, so he was going to take things that was theirs from where they raised their kids for his baby with Noreen. And Maddie walks home and sees this and is basically like, what in the world are you doing? Give me the key. Get out of here. So.
Yeah. And Eric sees that Dana Sue's under a lot of stress, so they go fishing together. And Dana Sue realizes that she's putting too much pressure on herself and she needs time for her own. I think that was good to realize that, because I think that I like Eric. We didn't get to see much of him, but I liked him. I thought it was cool that we got to see him.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Besides that, we get to see Kyle's play, which was cool. Did you like the play?
I
Shakespeare?
did. Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. It was nice to see that, because it shows that, like, I think because, he has his own interest, and Tyler has baseballs, and he has theater. So then I think we kind of all already knew that he had a crush on Annie throughout the whole thing. So then he finally kisses her, tries to kiss her, and that was pretty awkward.
Yes.
And I think that Annie likes Tyler, Tyler kind of likes Annie, and Kyle likes Annie. So that's a big mess right there.
Yes.
Especially between brothers. They're all close friends. Their parents are all close friends. And so then this is probably one of the biggest shocker in the episode. Not really shocker, but one of the biggest moments. So Noreen leaves Bill. And so what do you think of that?
Well, Bill was not treating her nicely, and she realized he really doesn't care for me, even though she thought he did. And she knew that she could go and be with her family who really did love her and care about her. So she went back home.
Yeah, her brother did come for a visit, and I think that really put things in perspective for her.
I think
so. I'm glad that he did come to visit her. So that was cool. And then episode 9. Episode 9, pretty much, this episode focused on mainly Maddie, and there's the mock trials going on, and Kyle runs away. So what do you think of that whole thing?
Yeah, he's upset and decides he doesn't want to be there, but he's not realizing that he's putting everyone out, especially Annie, because she has to be his role. So she has to be herself and her role, and she has to play a high school boy. So she's really stressed about that, but he's not really thinking about that, but he's really hurt, so he's very emotional.
Yeah. Yeah, besides that, we get to finally, I think Maddie finally comes to terms that, like, her focus hasn't been really on Kyle, and I think it really shined on Kyle, because, again, he didn't really get much of the attention.
Yeah.
It was more of his older brother who got the attention.
Yeah.
Besides that, we get to see Dana Sue, and she meets a farmer named Jeremy, and pretty much there's sparks between them right away, and so what do you think of that whole thing?
Yeah, it was cute. He like grows organic produce on this farm, and he's gonna maybe sell it to the restaurant that she runs. But yeah, they immediately kind of hit it off, and I think the first day that they met, they might have at the end of the day kissed. So yeah, they were really flirting big time.
Yeah. And besides that, we get to see Annie finally tell Helen that she's jealous of the relationship that she has with that girl, and that I think during the mock trial, she feels kind of hurt of how good that girl is at her job, because she was kind of like pressuring her. So what did you think of that whole thing? Finally being jealous of her relationship with Helen.
And she was, but Helen affirmed her that, you're my number one, and you always will be. But Helen saw in Tyler's girlfriend a need that she was lacking with her dad and the relationship she had, that she could sense that she needed some extra attention, and Helen gave that to her. So I thought that was really neat.
Yeah. Besides that, and the episode ends off with pretty much Helen and Ryan are hanging out, and she mentions kids. And that ends off the episode on a big cliffhanger. And yeah, so that was that. Episode 10, I'll go ahead and just talk about that. Pretty much Helen and Ryan do make a clean break. So what do you think of that?
Yeah, so Ryan is pretty straightforward. I don't want kids, and this is why. And he had been exposed to stuff when he was overseas and saw a lot of death, and they just couldn't be helped. And he didn't want to bring a kid into the world and have to face that, potentially. And that just devastated Helen, because all the way through the season, she's talked about wanting kids. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, pretty much, they break up for good. Besides that, Maddie and Cal do have some tension in their relationship. So pretty much he brings in a scout for Tyler for his future, and pretty much Maddie thinks that he's persuading him to not go to college.
Yeah.
So what did you think of their first fight?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of surprising because it seems so early on in the relationship. But, when you're messing with someone's kids and she really wants him to go to school and Cal had such an influence on Tyler that scared Maddie. So she kind of lashed out at him.
Yeah. And I think that they'll be able to make things right, at least for now. We also get to see, besides that, we get to see, this episode focused big on Dana Sue, pretty much. So it starts out with her bringing in someone named Micah, who I was glad because we have the same name.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like an old friend, but I didn't feel like because she had a lot of other men in her life, another man that was brought in this episode, I kind of felt like that was overlooked a little bit, but it'll be interesting to see if it comes back up any. So what did you think of him?
Well, if I remember correctly, Micah was her, so when she opened her business, Micah was helped financially support her opening this business. So whether they actually had a relationship, I'm not real sure. It didn't say one way or the other, but they definitely must have had a strong friendship because he kind of went in with her and was helping with the financial part of starting up her business.
Mm-hmm, definitely. Yeah. Besides that, we get to see something I think a little bit shocking. So Annie's dad comes in, which is Dana Sue's. It turns out that they're not divorced. And pretty much she wants them to get divorced, so then she can buy Micah out of the company, and he still has feelings for her. And so, what do you think of them bringing him in finally?
Well, it was interesting because he came up multiple times, and so like you said, we did find out that they're not divorced, but Dana Sue looks like has moved on, even though, I mean, she has feelings for him, but they have a child together, so they have a history together, but
yeah. And pretty much, so she also gets asked by I forget his name. Pretty much, there's this kid who works in the kitchen, and he thinks that earlier on in the season he thought that Eric was his father. He's looking for his birth parents because he was adopted, and then here he asked Dana Sue if she is his mom. Do you think that, or do you think?
It's hard to say. I would say probably not, but yeah. I mean, I think that's probably a pretty normal thing to want to search for your birth parents, even if you've had good adoptive parents.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We also get to see Helen and Eric bonding. I think that they are gonna shift that to romantic in season 2. What do you think?
It kind of looks like it. Eric's kind of slowly, his character's slowly developing, but we do see some feelings coming out between the two of them. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then there was the big teen thing, and that was actually teen. I thought like this show, it focuses on the adults, but there's a good chunk of it that focuses on the teens too.
Definitely.
I'm glad that they give them stories, but pretty much it's prom, and Tyler's girlfriend asks him to prom and makes a big baseball thing, and Annie becomes jealous. And Annie and Kyle were supposed to have a little like movie night for both being grounded, but then when she decides to go to prom with this guy from the newspaper, which so then pretty much those couples go. So and then Tyler and Jackson get into a fight, and Kyle tries to come in and break up the fight, and then Tyler tells Kyle to go away, and then Kyle asks him why he's ignoring him, so then he runs out, and he wrecks the car, and there's an unknown passenger. So what do you think of that whole thing?
Yeah, so it was kind of weird because they're at the party, and then everybody's kind of running out the door, and then all of a sudden it kind of jumps to there's been an accident, and everyone gets to the scene, and they're trying to pull someone out, and everyone thinks it's going to be Tyler because it's Tyler's car. Well, they pull Kyle out, and then they get him on the stretcher and get him in the ambulance to take him to the hospital. But then they're like, their passenger's still in there, so then everyone else is freaking out, like, who's the passenger? Who's it going to be? So we don't know. It kind of left it as that. At that.
Yeah, I think it's either Tyler. I think probably it's I think it's likely Tyler, but it could be Annie. It could be anyone else. But yeah, that was fun. Overall, this was a really good series, and hopefully we'll come back for a season 2. I think that, yeah. So anyways, I want to thank everyone for watching the studio. Stay tuned for more videos to come, and bye.